these bumps. This way here was.
Hello,
That's
everyone.
Solomon's.
If we could all be please seated. Congregation, be seated. The message of my sermon today is, you're all sinners in the hands of an angry God.
Sounds nice. Where did we begin?
Start the front row.
Here's some notes. You don't have to look at them. I'm not going to probably go by them. I just have them because I was preparing this last night in the prayer room, and this is a message that's been on my heart for quite some time, and I've been really thinking about this, and I've been really just it's been on my heart, and I've been wanting to talk about it or write about it or speak about this, and the Lord's been putting it on my heart. And even as I was writing this message, even as I was preparing this message, I didn't know fully exactly how to explain what the answer is, how to communicate that. And as I was writing it, the Lord met me, and I had this download of the word. And when it hit me, it was just, I knew that was good. I knew that was it. We'll start with a little bit of a testimony about my year last year and just the journey I've been through and the journey of how this message came to be. So I came here, welcome. When I first came to this school, I heard God's voice clearly on it, and I saw a vision from the Lord. I heard His voice. I knew it was Him, and I knew He led me here to do to go deeper in understanding Him and the knowledge of Him. And you know, it was awesome when I first got here. You know, being able to see the cloud by day, the fire by night, and just experiencing that, eating from the manna that fell from the sky every day. It was just wonderful, you know. And as I began to go through the year and read about the story of the Israelites, I was thinking, wow, these people must be like, I'm like, I don't know what they teach in Keith's class about people being smarter back in the day, but these people seem like they must be really dumb, you know, because they seen the cloud by day, they seen the fire by night. They ate from the food that fell from the sky, yet they said, hey, this Moses that you gave us, we don't know what's become of him, so make us a golden calf so we can worship, and the golden calf will be able to lead us out. And I was like, these people must not be very intelligent. You know, and then some time goes by, and I realized that was me. You know, that those Israelites were me. I was those Israelites, and I hit this wall of doubt, and I don't know where it came from or how it came to be, but you know, and I found myself in this place of doubt, faced with doubt, and I was wondering. I was like, how is this even possible? How has this even happened? You know, how is it that I've seen God, I've heard His voice, I've seen His provision, I've lived in His goodness, and all of a sudden now here I am, I'm faced with this doubt, and what do I do? You know, so I just started asking God for help, and I continued to press in, and sooner or later I was able to, just through God's mercy and grace, I was able to push through that doubt and overcome it. You know, sometimes we also test God. This, you know, testing God looks like this. Like when, for example, when I finished the year and I was going into the second year, I started to kind of have a little doubt, different type of doubt. Now, keep in mind, this is a different type of doubt what I was having. This was more of like a doubt that was born out of selfish ambition and desire to do other things and desire to go do this or that. And honestly, it was stemming from a place of lack of trust, a lack of believing in God and trusting what He had for me. So I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I know for sure God told me to do the first year, but the second year I'm like kind of uncertain because I haven't had that like double confirmation. I haven't had that for sure, for certain vision or hearing His voice. So I'm going to go fast, and I'm going to go strive, and I'm going to go do all these things to try to get the word. And and then a week passes by, and I still haven't done all that I was planning on doing. And I just started to get reminded of the word of Gideon, you know, the word of Gideon, how God said, hey, an angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, I have chosen you to be the deliverer for Israel. I've chosen you to be a deliverer for the people. And Gideon sees the angel of God. He hears God's voice. He knows all these things. And yet, what does Gideon do? He's like, well, I'm going to put out a fleece. God, if it's really you, if you really want me to be a deliverer for Israel, make the fleece wet tonight and the whole ground around it dry. So God does it. The next night, he's like, okay, I'm sorry, God, but you know what? Let's do the same experiment, except this time, make the fleece dry and everything around the floor wet. So God confirms his word. Why does Gideon test God? Well, could be many reasons. Could be he's a coward. Could be that he has other ambitions. He has other desires to do anything but God's will. You know, that looks different for all of us. You know, for me, it was wanting to go and make money and do other things. It's like, man, I trust you, God. I trust you with this area of my life. I trust you with my finances. I trust you with my health. I trust you with this, and this. But it's like sometimes we hold on to that last little piece, like this part. I don't know. I can't let go of that. I can't really trust you on that, God. Like, I don't know about this. And we hang on to that little bit of doubt, you know, that we still have. So that's one way we test God. It's really comes from a place of uncertainty, a place of not knowing and not fully trusting. You know, we should be really content with just saying, Jesus, it doesn't matter like what my circumstances will look like. It doesn't matter what my future will look like. It doesn't matter where I'll be working, who I'll be married to, you know, what I'll be doing. As long as you're there in the midst of it, you know, I should be satisfied. That should be the posture of our heart. And honestly, that should be like the cry of our heart, is to be satisfied as long as Jesus is there. But sometimes we have these ambitions that lead us to lack full trust in God. So I would ask the question, what do we do with the doubt? I would dare to say that doubt is actually part of our fallen human nature. That everybody at some point in some period in their life experiences and goes through doubt. And actually, I believe it's the first sin that the enemy, the serpent, he put into the garden was pride and doubt. When the enemy said, did God really tell you not to eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? You know, it's the same lie that he still brings us today. Did God really tell you to go to school? Did God really tell you to do this? Did God really tell you to do that? And, you know, it sometimes comes in so subtly, but that's all it takes is that question. The enemy wants us to question God and to see if that's, you know, we start to question him. Even the disciples, the guys who walked with Jesus, these are the guys who walked hand in hand with him every single day. They've seen him raise people from the dead. They've seen him perform miracles. They've seen him heal lepers. They've seen him do all this stuff. They knew he was God. But in the end, when Jesus was dead and he got crucified and he got raised against to life, they started to doubt. Thomas said he heard about all these things about Jesus being raised from the dead and the other disciples seeing him. And what does he say? He said, until I put my fingers through his hands and his feet, I will not believe. So Jesus appeared and he said, come, put your fingers in through my hands and see that it's me. And, you know, that's the level of doubt sometimes we have. And there's another instance where they were doubting and the disciples were doubting. And what does Jesus do in this situation? He rebukes their doubt. He says, it's very simple, you know, when Jesus says, believe, that's all he says. It's more easier than we make it. Jesus rebukes their doubt, and what does he say right after he rebukes their doubt for their hardness of heart? He says, do not doubt, but be believing, and now go into the world and preach the gospel to all the world. I believe that sometimes the enemy will place doubt into our hearts through other things. He'll put doubt into our hearts to keep us from fulfilling our calling, to keep us from fulfilling our destiny, to keep us from sharing the gospel, from worshiping, from doing other things. So that's sometimes how he works as well. And yeah. So what do we do about this doubt? What are we to do? How this was the big question that I couldn't really get over. That I couldn't really. I knew how I got through it, but I couldn't articulate it. I couldn't really explain it. So what are we to do with the doubt that we're faced? Well, for one, we're not to let doubt overcome us. We're not to allow to dwell on the doubt. But I was reminded of the story of Peter when he was when they were in the boat and it started to storm. The winds and the waves started to shake the boat, and all of a sudden they see Jesus walking in the water, and they yell, "Oh, look, it's a ghost!" And they were terrified. They were filled with fear. And Jesus said, "Peace be with you, it is I." And they said, Peter cried out and said, "Lord, if it is you, let me walk on the water." So Jesus called him out. And when Peter started to walk on the water, he actually began to walk on the water. He had the faith when he was looking at Jesus. And as he was walking in the water, he took his eyes off of Jesus, off of the man, and he started to look at the circumstances, at the winds and the waves. And these winds and waves, they could look different for each one of us. For me, it could be this, it could be finances, it could be work, it could be other things. For you, it could be, you fill in the blanks. But as soon as he took his eyes off of Jesus, he started to focus on the fears of this life, the struggles, the circumstances. And that's when doubt and fear began to be, the crippling fear came over him. And he started to doubt, he started to sink, and he's like, "Lord, help me," cried out, "Lord, help me." And Jesus walked over and reached out his hand and he pulled him out of the water and said, he rebuked him again. He said, "Oh, you of little faith." So what is the key to overcoming doubt? So one is to cry out to Jesus and ask for help. And so when you're faced with doubt, say, "Jesus, help me get through this doubt." And then two, to hold Jesus' hand, to walk with him day by day, hand by hand, hand in hand, and just continue to press through it, continue to walk through it, and just live by faith and not by fear. So yeah, that's about it. To believe despite our feelings. That's one thing I've learned to really live by, is to live despite what my feelings tell me, to live by faith.
All right, let's give them some feedback. What did you guys like? What was good?